What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined, as always, on Fridays by our Fun Friday co-host, Tim Wright. What's up, Tim? And Tim is so excited, we can't even hear a word that he's saying.
Absolutely, man. What a day, what a weekend.
The draft left him speechless is what happened. Joining us the day after round one, round 2 and 3 ahead, is our great friend, sandwich connoisseur, writer over at DLF and Trophy Smack, and the man who scares Jalen and Joey away from the show. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
Oh, man, so looking forward to it. You know, it's one of my favorite stops, so always stoked to join you guys and happy to be back on your normal time. And y'all didn't wake me up in the morning to do this, so
yeah, we were calling you every morning at 5:30 asking if you wanted to be a guest at the last minute, and you said no every time. It was honestly kind of rude.
I had to wear a shirt that time. I didn't want to do it.
I messaged Mike this morning and said, just let him know that as soon as Jalen and Joey found out that he was going to be on, they couldn't stand to be up here next to his striking good looks. They've been humiliated enough the past 2 times he's come on, and they just wouldn't stand for it. On a Friday, like, come on. We got Joey in the chat, said the real tears of today are being shed because Joey isn't here. Poop. Meant to send this from my burner. Oh, well. Have a great show. What's up, Joey? Welcome in, my friend. We got Albert in the chat saying, what's up? Hello, everyone. What's up, Albert? And Jay saying, I thought Mike would like to know I had a delicious Italian sub for lunch today. Capicola, ham, salami, banana peppers, lettuce, tomato, and boar's head deli dressing. And I stared right at Mike's eyes as I said the name of that first ingredient with fear in my eyes that I was going to say it wrong.
Capicola.
Yeah. In my mind, I was going back and forth. Is it Capicola or Capicola or Capicola?
I could have got weird quick.
Capicola. We got One Nation in here. What's up, One Nation? Welcome in, my friend. And Victor said, happy Friday, bro, chachos. So my prayers go out to DeAndre Swift. Nothing wrong with him, just the Lions want him dead. Yeah, we will be talking about that a little bit later today. Jay wants to know, why is JL dodging Mike? Mike, you got any answers for us besides your good looks?
Yeah, no, I think it's hard when you go on a show. I've done this before. Like, I've all the time. Like, even today, I go on shows with people smarter than me, and I get really intimidated. You know what I mean? And so I would get, like, I was hoping JL was going to join, so I wouldn't be the dumbest person on the show. But I get where he comes from. Like, I get stage fright when that happens too. I mean, it's not just the good looks. I'm really much smarter than him on top of it. Adds to the intimidation factor.
And I'm actually shocked at how humble you are too. It's just incredible.
I know it's triple tough to keep it like that, but I want to keep 100 with everybody,
Triple threat. Yeah, only the 3 we've named. You have no idea what else is hiding under there. We got One Nation in here saying mullet power. And guys, I've been taking the long approach to having a mullet that my girlfriend approves of. It's been a long game because when I brought up the idea from like my military cut, she said, no way, absolutely not. Never, we would break up. But then I slowly started growing the hair out. Now she likes the long hair. She prefers the long hair. I start slicking it back with a hat on, right? Like this could be a mullet under here. You have no idea. She prefers it like this. She likes the ponytail, which is as gross as it gets. I think we are inches away from her not just approving, but asking for me to have a mullet. And then it's not my idea. Then I'm in the clear, baby. We got Ladarius in here, said, hello and happy Friday. What's up, Ladarius? Welcome in, my friend. And Dave said, gabagool. Yeah, did you have any gabagool on your Italian sub, Jay? And Scamper's in here with the good afternoon FYF peeps. Scott Fish in here wants to know, where is Joey? Yeah, we couldn't get his peanut into him on time, and his lawyer contacted us and said he wouldn't work until that was resolved. So, Scott, you really only have yourself to blame for this. You only have yourself to blame for this. Well, guys, today we are going to be getting into a tier list of landing spots for these first-round rookies. We already mentioned a couple of them. Jamyhr Gibbs landing over there with the Lions in a shock pick at 12. The Texans going back to what people initially thought they were going to do before all the other smoke screens, grabbing CJ Stroud there with the number 2 pick. A lot to talk about. Before we get into that, though, a couple reminders. First and foremost, if you're not following our friend Mike on Twitter, you need to go and remedy that immediately. It's good vibes, good advice, and good sandwiches only at DaddysHomeFF. So make sure you're following him over there. After you do that, If you're watching this show on our YouTube channel, thank you so much. And what you can do to help us out and help you make sure you never miss any of these shows is hit that subscribe button and then that little notification bell will make sure you never miss when we go live every day, Monday through Friday at our new old time, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Fantasy Football Game Show. You guys ready to get into some of these tiers?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. I figured we would start with the first overall pick and then go from there. Before we do that, though, I did want to ask you guys one question. I forgot. I was going crazy yesterday whenever the Texans traded up after grabbing CJ Stroud to grab Will Anderson. That move to me just seemed like a fantasy football rebuild kind of move. Know what I mean? Like that's the shit you do where you just stockpile rookie picks at the top. Like I'm going all in on the 2018 rookies. Hope it works. I was baffled. I was like, I can't remember the last time we saw that happen.
It was like draft day, like the movie again. Like watching, I was like, oh my god, these are like candy picks. They don't even give crap. They're just like, let's get it, let's do it. 2-3, confusing as hell. Love to see it. Madness.
My favorite thing is I think because they weren't talking Stroud till like hours before the draft, I think they just came up with it. They were like, wouldn't it be messed up if we tanked the value of their pick by taking Stroud, then got it off of them? Total draft day move.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I want all my picks back. I expected David Putney to end up on the protection somehow. He's like grabbing special teamers, but they're literally like, well, I know you want Stroud, we want Anderson, but what if we just take Stroud to screw with you? Then you'll trade with us, right? And no one else will trade with you because they all want Stroud. It was amazing. Like it's literally like what I do to the drunk guy at my Dynasty draft. I'm like, you don't need him. You already have Odell Beckham. What the hell do you want JSN for? You're fine. You're set for like 20 years.
I hadn't even considered the aspect of how much that devalued the third pick. Like, of course, that was the whole play there. They devalued it and then traded for it. Man. That's some wild stuff there. That was beautiful. And Scamper's down here saying the AFC South got very interesting very quickly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to watch them next year. We got Calvin in the chat. What's up, Cal? Said, "Sup, fellas? Digging the Fiesta inspired Spurs hat. I figured since it's Fiesta, I'd throw on my Fiesta hat on this Friday." Let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to start with the first overall pick. How this is going to work is we're going to take turns saying what tier we would put them in. The tiers that we have listed here are ideal. This is the perfect spot for them. Great, above average in the great category. Good means you're feeling pretty good about their spot. I'm just repeating the words whenever I say what they mean. Mm-hmm. Neutral means neutral. Bad, if you feel it was a bad landing spot. And then this bottom category is really where it's the end of the world. We're sounding the alarms. The fires are going off, and we are very upset for what this does for that player's fantasy value. We're going to start with the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. That is quarterback out of Alabama, Bryce Young, going to the Carolina Panthers. And Mike, I'm going to ask you first, if you had to put Bryce Young's landing spot in one of these categories, how do you think the Panthers are as a landing spot for that rookie quarterback?
I have it at great. And the reason why I have it at great is being with Frank Reich, I think is a great spot for him. The reason why we don't hit ideal is they had to trade DJ Moore to get the pick, and now you're missing weapons on the team. So I think it's great when you're talking Dynasty. I certainly don't think it's going to be a good spot for him in this particular first year. But overall, I think Frank Reich getting the rookie that he wants, building him up, I think you're going to see them really invest around him. So I think ultimately it's going to turn to be a great landing spot for Bryce Young.
Well, you pissed him off with that.
Just throwing
He's
stuff.
Just throwing
right
shit
out of the
around
gate,
while you're talking.
throwing stuff.
But Mike going with great for Bryce Young landing there in Carolina. Tim, what do you think? Are you agreeing with Mike here? More optimistic, less optimistic?
I mean, landing in the NFC South, I think, is just a pretty solid spot to be in general. I think they did a pretty solid job trying to work on their offensive line. So I would say good to great, and I'll go great because I like that color a little bit better. They have Adam Thielen now, so I mean maybe a little veteran presence can help out the rookie there on some route running and whatnot. But I think it's good enough for him. I think he's going to do well there.
Yeah, if DJ Moore hadn't been traded in the package, to get this pick, it would be damn near ideal as far like especially when you take into account being picked first overall generally leads to horrible situations. You're usually going to a team that is multiple steps away from even giving you a competent chance at being okay. That being said, Adam Thielen plus Hayden Hurst does not make a DJ Moore for a quarterback coming in here. I'm going to go with great as well. I like the landing spot. I agree with you. Pretty unanimous. And that's, I feel like, kind of rare for a first overall pick. I feel like he's in a great landing spot.
Yeah.
Mike, which side do you land on whenever it comes to his height? Are you concerned that it's going to limit him in the NFL, or are you saying that his talent, his vision is going to overcome that height?
No, I think he's going to be fine. I think realistically, when you look at players of his size, the cool part is if you have the offensive linemen stand up, the running becomes easier because they can't see him. So he'll pop out like a fucking magic show. You know, if we can swear here. But he'll pop out like a magic show, and you won't know what gap he's going to till he hits it, which is great. I've always wanted them to do that Rondell Moore over the years, and they haven't yet. But little dudes like running through people's legs, if you ever saw that on like Looney Tunes, it's unstoppable. Like that play cannot be stopped. So I expect a lot of running from him behind really tall offensive linemen.
The idea that's like they take his height. The Looney Tunes comparison is what's cracking me up here. I'm just imagining like Stroud's like, okay, now Bryce, duck, crouch, hide,
get low.
It's like some backyard football trick plays and stuff, like Sonic Boom and Leapfrog.
That'll be amazing.
The future of the position.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bryce Young's going to end up in gray. We got JL on the chat saying, boys, and Matt, he's hyped to see you. Can't wait to hear Craig in the chat. What's up, Craig? Saying no IDP, no lineman. The
Eagles' defensive line is just going to win everything forever. That's so scary.
They continue to just do the right thing, right? This Eagles team continues to just make smart moves over and over and over again.
It's wild.
Why? Stop it. And Craig in here, or Jay responding to Craig saying first time watching. Yeah, we are not very respectful of our IDP brethren here. We do not talk a lot about that over here. Also, Craig saying he's an eternal optimist, hoping that they see the light. I do play in one IDP Dynasty league of some sort, so maybe it's going to come out there as well. We got Coop in the chat saying this Mike guy belongs in a cage.
Coop's always angry because I have to taunt him in every show he's in because he says dumb stuff out loud. And I like to call him on it because there's people on Reddit that all like massage his ego. But in reality, does he actually know tight ends, or does he just say shit out loud for a position that no one cares about?
I mean, I hadn't considered that.
I think Coop is the drunk guy at the bar that you're doing the Texan style moves to. At least from what I heard from a live draft that you guys were at last year.
Evan Engram.
Also, Coop said I have so much work to do, but I'm here doing the same thing. Glad to have you in here, Coop. What's up? Dave said not Reddit. You're punching them where it hurts. Tight ends and Reddit. It's like it's Coop's pride and joy. We're going to move on to our next player here. And of course, second player in the draft was Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud going to the Houston Texans. Tim, we're going to start with you. How do you feel about this landing spot for CJ Stroud for fantasy?
I don't know. I might just say end of the world just because it's fun. I think it's really neutral to bad. I mean, the Texans just need to get their stuff sorted, and I think they're a little bit far away from that. So I'll say end of the world because I don't think anybody here really is end of the world, and I need to say it at least once.
End of the world for Stroud from Tim. Well, I agree the Texans are not an ideal landing spot for fantasy. What's great is that he's going to start right away. Like he's going to go down there and he is going to be the starting quarterback in Houston. He's got some rushing upside. It's crazy to think that his receiving core is not just kind of downgraded, but unbelievably downgraded going from college to the NFL. Like he was throwing to JSN, Marvin Harris. Like he has a full NFL caliber receiving core at Ohio State. Now Brandon Cooks is gone. It's John Mechie and Nico Collins. Like that's who he's going to be throwing the ball to. I can't in good conscience put him above good. Because this is for fantasy, I'll put him in neutral, and his rushing upside probably puts him in like the QB2 conversation for this upcoming year. But I like him in Dynasty. If the Texans build around him, I still like the dude. So I'm going to go neutral for him. Could be worse, but this is your typical top of the draft QB landing spot. This is the team that has so many holes, and they're plugging it in with a quarterback. Mike, how do you feel here? We've got a neutral and we've got an end of the world.
I'll just go right up the middle with bad. There's a lot to really dislike about this landing spot. You guys touched upon the weapons are gross. You have Casario out here about the guy who's playing in the Dynasty League and doesn't have to pay the year forward dues, so he's trading their 24 picks like they're candy. So when you say they're going to build around him, I guess the question is how and with what. Number one, who wants to go to Houston? It's not like they're a destination that people are all partying in Houston. The only time Houston ends up on the news is when there's a hurricane wiping people out. So, it's not a cool place to be. They have literally no prestige or history to go on. He's got a defensive minded coach. He has no weapons. And now they just traded away their 24 first and got him nothing in the draft to help him. So you could be looking at 2 years of Nico Collins and John Mechie or a similar type weapons. And Dameon freaking Pierce catching 2 passes every 3 weeks. I mean, this is horrific. I'm actually talking myself into the end of the world.
Yeah.
I'm as bad as we go. I actually can't think of a worse place for him to go. I love the player. I wanted better for him. I wanted him to succeed. And I think he's going to be the best the Texans can do. And that's kind of like me and my girlfriend. She's the best I can do, and I'm hopeless. So I'm happy that she found me, and I'm happy that CJ Stroud will raise Houston up a little bit. But ultimately, they're doomed.
They're hopeless. Well, CJ Stroud with 2 end of the worlds and 1 neutral, it is still going to land him in bad. But it is close. It is bad leaning end of the world whenever they average those. Yeah, I think the Texans are probably just not a good organization. I think there's fantasy upside that puts him in neutral just because he is good and he will start. But man, there's not much else besides that to look at as a positive for him. We got Tommy in the chat saying, ouch, Coop. He's got your number. Yeah, Mike's got Coop's freaking number clocked. One Nation Underground saying, I really want to see my guy Ritter succeed. We'll be talking about some pieces they added for him.
Oh, yeah.
Very shortly. And Better Boss in here said, some fine-looking young men making up this rookie class. I'm ready to make some long-term relationships in dynasty leagues. Ooh. So I will say, this running back class, some handsome boys. They kept panning those men as they walked up on stage. As Bijan walked out there, I'm like, God, he's handsome. And then they cut to Jamyhr Gibbs, and I'm like, good God, he's handsome. Derrick Henry's watching. He's like, no one look this way. Just ducking his head to the side. Because now we've got these superstar running backs and they're allowed to look wildly attractive too. It's unfair.
Why is Henry catching strays? Why'd you pick him as the ugly running back?
Sorry, that was rude.
I'd be scared that he'd still hear you somehow and come for you because
who else can these Danny Woodhead looking MFers walking around. That's enough. We'll throw strays. I'm less scared of Danny Woodhead coming and finding me.
Danny Woodhead could still beat you up, really.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Okay,
100%. But he just wouldn't get here as quickly.
That's true.
It would take him a little bit longer to get to me. Well, guys, up next, we have another quarterback to talk about. There was rumors abound that maybe he would go first overall. Then rumors abound that he was going to drop entirely past quarterbacks like Will Levis. But Anthony Richardson ended up going 4th overall, the 3rd quarterback off the board to the Indianapolis Colts. I've got the first vote here, and I am so excited about this landing spot for Anthony Richardson. I'm trying not to get too hyped, but whenever I look at this, I see a team with a stud running back that they can rely on, right? I see a quarterback that is going to need something to depend on while he develops, right? He's got the tools. That was the thing, not to be full of draft cliches, but he was the boomer bust prospect of this draft. He was the high risk, high reward kind of guy. He was the work in progress, but he's got a coach there that took Jalen Hurts and made him into an MVP caliber quarterback, right? Someone that's in that conversation. I love Shane Steichen there. I like the weapons in the line around him. I guess the line's not that great, but I think this is a good spot for Anthony Richardson to develop. I'm going to go with great. I'm going to put this as great for Anthony Richardson. I think it could have been ideal if he landed with the Seahawks or the Lions and got to learn behind Jared Goff or Geno Smith. The Lions would have been freaking perfect with the line that they have there, but it's still a great landing spot for me. Mike, where are you putting this for Anthony Richardson?
So I was gonna go ideal before the show, and then Pill Popping RSA just tweeted out to see if they should take Will Levis in the second
No, he did
round.
not.
Yes, he did. So when Ursay gets in the mix and he's bored, it ultimately drops everything a tier. Like, you have to take that into account, that he might be sitting there with the button and just press it and giggling because he's doing some stuff today, enjoying his life, and I'm not judging, just pointing out. So yeah, that bring it down to great. I mean, Simon, you hit everything, and I actually think their line will be better this year. I hate it for Jonathan Taylor, but for everybody else in the world, I love it. So.
And unfortunately for Jonathan Taylor, like, it's a plus for Anthony Richardson, but it is a negative for him.
Correct.
Like, it's a pro for him over there. I'm looking at this tweet now. I did not believe it's from Jim Irsay's real account. It says, Colts fans, would you take Will Levis at number 2 if you're on the board for Colts in 4 hours from now and go Montana Young for franchise? One of the top responses straight up hammered before 5 p.m. on a Friday. My man, Captain Jim, knows how to start a weekend up right.
Oh, amazing.
Incredible.
I can't believe the owner of the Colts tweeted that out hours after taking a quarterback number 4 overall.
Dude, I want nothing more than for this to come true. Like, if you could give me one wish tonight and I need my Bruins to win, I would forego a Bruins win for the Colts taking Levis, just because I wouldn't stop laughing for 2 straight days.
That would be incredible. Yeah, maybe by Monday I could work some words in to be able to have the show, but thank God it would happen right before a weekend. Jane here said Irsay wants to go with a 2 QB system. We'll see. That would be, what if he, God, man, Mike, I'm with you. I'll forgo whatever my next wish is. I surrender it in order for this one, because I don't have one right now, but I surrender the next one for this. Will Levis to the Colts. So you put him in great.
Yeah,
great. So we had 2 greats, and Tim, where did you put him? Oh, you haven't gone yet.
I haven't gone yet. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to see what they're gonna do with this next pick. Obviously, now I have no idea, because I'm with you. All wishes should go towards that scenario. But I'm gonna call it.
Do a draft dance tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna call this one ideal. I was so excited to see him go early, and I mostly am doing that because I think I feel like he's gonna look the part in a Colts uniform as the Colts quarterback. I think that is an absolutely ideal spot for him to land, just because the uni is going to look great.
He will look. He'll look good in the Colts uniform, and I'm excited for what the coach is going to do there with Anthony Richardson. Well, so we got 2 great landing spots. Poor CJ Stroud right there in the middle got tucked down and bad. Almost ended up in end of the world getting drafted by the Texans. That does suck. They could have been shuffled all sorts of different ways, and CJ Stroud is stuck here just sitting like, God damn. They got some pretty good teams that they're going to, and I'm stuck here with the freaking Texans.
Should have gotten a 17 on my test instead of an 18.
Maybe he was trying to tank the test not to end up with the Houston Texans. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next player that was drafted, our first non-quarterback coming off the board. And the rumors leading up to draft day were true. We were wondering when Bijan was going to go. Maybe rumors of getting down to Philly a little bit later, but the Atlanta Falcons with the number 8 overall pick drafted Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Mike, you've got the first vote here, and I feel like this one has been polarizing. I have seen takes in the extreme on both sides as far as this landing spot goes. Where do you land when it comes to Bijan with the Falcons?
Yeah, I've seen it as well. I don't understand the negative here. Like, I don't get it. It's ideal. It is an ideal landing spot. The draft capital is insane. He lands with a coach who runs a bell cow running back offense. This idea that Tyler Algier is going to take carries from Bijan Robinson is like me saying that I'm going to steal Will Levis's girlfriend because he fell out of the first round. As much as you might hope what's going to happen for both of our sakes, it's not. He's going to get 300 to 350 touches every year until the wheels fall off. He's got a quarterback that isn't going to be throwing the lights out there. As much as I know in the comments they wanted to see Ritter go off, he's not that guy. He's a guy who they're going to try to limit what he has to do with this team. So they're going to be ground and pound. The 8th overall pick, ground and pound offense for this player, that it doesn't get more ideal. Like I saw people saying, I wish he went to Philly with Hurts. Are you serious? Not even close. Atlanta's a much better spot for him. I couldn't pick a better spot with draft capital for Bijan Robinson than the Atlanta Falcons. This is a smash ideal for me.
Ideal, and with some emphasis behind it, with some thunder from Mike. Tim, are you agreeing with Mike here as far as the Bijan Robinson landing spot goes?
Yeah, I am. I was stunned when I saw that pick because the Falcons need a defense at some point, but who cares? They've had such fun first rounds for the past 4 years, and I'm absolutely here for it.
There's Ladarius, our Falcons fan, coming in saying, I'd have loved defense at number 8, but Bijan Robinson fits what Arthur Smith wants to do.
Yep. So, I echoed completely. Absolutely ideal. I mean, the Falcons were, the number 2 or 3 rushing offense last season, and that was with Cordero and Algier. And now you have, the stud of studs coming to your team. Get out of town. That's absolutely ideal. And I get to see it was on one TV in the bar I was at, and I was going crazy, and one table next to me was going crazy, but nobody else was paying attention. I was like, guys, this is your Falcons.
You in Atlanta.
You just did the thing right there. You did it. And I was very excited to see it. My buddy was texting me. He's a big Falcons fan. He's like, oh, this is going to be absolutely electric.
They're just building the all hype squad there in Atlanta. This year drafting Bijan Robinson, last year first wide receiver off the board, Drake London. They draft Kyle Pitts, first tight end off the this is just, there is so much belief in the players on this Atlanta Falcons team that if it does not work, God, they could become the ultimate villain of the fantasy football community if Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson don't turn into the superstars that everyone expects them to be.
Meanwhile, Grady Jarrett is just sitting on the line being one of the best defensive tackles in history. And he's like, God damn it, guys.
Is anybody else going to show up today? Who is this guy next to me?
What are we doing here, boys? But I love it. Ideal for Fed. I think this is awesome.
And my favorite thing about the Falcons is one of the 3 names you mentioned is going to bust, and it's going to be hilarious trying to figure out which one, because there is no way this offense supports all 3 of those guys being studs. No chance.
No way. And I'm with you guys. This is ideal for Bijan Robinson. I hear the argument Tyler Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher. He's not just going to go away. But instead, I hear Tyler Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher in this Atlanta Falcons offense. He's not going to take work from the number 8 overall pick, like you said, maybe at the beginning of the year, but I just don't buy into the fact that there's going to be a genuine split at all between these 2 guys. They spent the number 8 overall pick on him. And Mike, to your point, Tim, you talked about their offense as well. They rushed the ball almost 600 times last year. I think it was 560 times. Even if Algier gets 150 carries, there's enough for Bijan Robinson to have a full workload. I'm with you guys. Ideal. I am hyped. Mike, where are you? Where is Bijan going to end up for you? You think in your redraft rankings?
He's already.
So he's probably going to be the running back 2, and for skill position players. So let's take Superflex out of it just for conversation's sake. Probably 5 overall at this point.
So you have him ahead of guys like Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb.
I would have probably CMC above him. I would have had Taylor prior to the Richardson pick, but that's curbed my enthusiasm there a little bit. And I would take Jefferson, Chase, and Kelsey over him from the other skill position players in redraft. So
when he got picked yesterday, I said to Jail, I am not going to be shocked when we start seeing redraft rankings come out and people have Bijan as their number 1 running back.
I wouldn't be shocked either. You shouldn't, but I can see it.
It's a good enough landing spot that we're going to see it come redraft season. And let's not act like it's not in his range of outcomes. If he does get the workload in that rush heavy of an offense, I'm not going to rank him there, but definitely in his range of outcomes. We got Jay Wall in here saying Eagles won this draft. And
they did.
They did.
They absolutely did.
You're right.
Absolutely did. Yep. No argument.
We got the Giants fan in the chat saying they did. No disagreement here. That's how you know it's true. One Nation wants to know, do the Falcons stack the trenches now? Would you is that what you would be doing, Tim, if you were Arthur Blanks and Arthur Smith, the Arthurs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always, if you draft an offensive lineman, I always think that's a good pick.
Unless it's Alex Leatherwood to the Raiders in the first round.
That was a stupid pick. You're right. But for the most part, first 2 rounds, generally you do okay, other than that one. But and the one the Patriots picked last season, whatever. But
Curtis Strange, not great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
Mike's like, oh yeah, let's talk about Leatherwood. Leatherwood.
Yeah, Leatherwood, but that was fun.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but again, they need help on defense, man. And if they're just going to get blown out, it should be fun for fantasy, but they need to fix their defense so badly. AJ Terrell and Grady Jarrett are just alone.
I mean, the good thing about it is that if you're going to go ground and pound, it is easier to pick up maulers and run blockers, free agent market. Like they're easier to find than a pass blocking left tackle, for example. So you could focus your picks and your assets on defense and grab a 2-year, rough and tumble guard, like, an old school Logan Mankins type player, to go way back on you for, for fairly short money. Like those aren't the guys that are busting the bank and killing your cap. It's really the pass blockers, and what the hell? I wouldn't even bother passing at this point. Just run the damn ball.
For real.
Yeah, they know what your plan is, but you've got Bijan Robinson. You just make it happen.
We're gonna run. Try and stop it.
Yeah,
unless you're the Eagles, who's gonna stop it?
Honestly, my high school, that was our entire playbook my senior year with Kenyon Drake on the team. Every game was just give the ball to him. And the other team knows it, and we know it, and good luck. See if you can stop them. High school athletes against future NFL player, like 99% of them. It's until you get to like the playoffs where there's even a chance where they got one NFL player on the other side. But some of these NFL defenses you can probably do that against. In a surprise move, the next player we're talking about is another running back. 2 running backs in the first round, and not just 2 running backs in the first round. This running back went 12th overall to the Detroit Lions. Jamyhr Gibbs with the high draft capital. Tim, you've got the first vote here. What kind of landing spot is this for Gibbs?
My jaw was on the goddamn floor when this came up. We did a draft last week, and I was like, okay, Swift is gonna be fine. Not fine. Panic. Everybody just panic everything. David Montgomery and oh my God, Jamyhr Gibbs. I have no idea. This is a dumb yet fun pick. I think he's an incredibly talented back, but this offense should pick up where it left off. The NFC North is kind of a dumpster fire right now. So as soon as they move Swift, I think this might wind up being a pretty good to great landing spot for him. He's going to have a high-powered offense. He's going to score a lot. And if he's competing with David Montgomery, I think that's a fine RB2 that I would absolutely take. So as soon as they get rid of Swift, because we know that's going to happen, as soon as he goes, then I would say it's great. So I guess I'll say good.
Good. My instant reaction was, what the hell are they doing? Like, just like what is the Lions plan here? They have David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift on the roster, but I think you're right. This signals DeAndre Swift is gone. Like there just isn't any world where he's not, I feel like, after spending this kind of draft capital on Jamyhr Gibbs. You don't spend the 12th overall pick to have him play third fiddle in your offense. Man. After DeAndre Swift leaves, though, it comes down to, like, is this a good landing spot? We know that David Montgomery role that he's going to play has value. We watched Jamal Williams lead the league in rushing touchdowns last year. I think David Montgomery is going to play more of that role. Is Jamyhr Gibbs a better DeAndre Swift in this offense than DeAndre Swift was? I think so. So because DeAndre Swift is still there, I'm going to put it in neutral. But the second DeAndre Swift leaves, I think it's a good landing spot. It's capped. His touchdown upside is capped because I think David Montgomery's taken that Jamal Williams role, but it's still a good landing spot. It's a high-powered offense. They haven't fully addressed the defense yet. Should be fun. Mike, what do you think here? We got a neutral and we got a good.
I'm between great and ideal. All that I keep hearing is David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. Those are the names I hear. What I don't hear is Marvin Jones, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and Josh Leonard. That is who he's competing with for the second target option on the Lions. This is a pass-catching weapon. This is a guy who probably in the past 10 years, we've seen 2 or 3 running backs that can catch the ball like Jamyhr Gibbs. Yeah. So when you're talking about that type of weapon, I'm projecting him for 85 plus targets his rookie year. So if he even gets a small piece of that rushing pie, which he will, don't forget David Montgomery does get banged up. That's where we found out Khalil Herbert was a person. And I do think Swift goes, but Swift is doghouse. I mean, that he is in the doghouse right now. He's not going to cut into Gibbs, even if he stays on the roster, won't cut into his role at all. If he gets maybe even 4 of those 1-yard touchdowns with 85 plus targets as the second option in this passing game, that's moon landing type stuff. I mean, people that are upset about this, then you add in the draft capital, 12th.
Yeah.
They need to make this guy successful. They know what's going to happen if he fails, what they're going to look like. They're going to invest everything to make this guy a rock star, and it's going to happen. I love this landing spot. Check down Goff is going to feed this guy like there's no tomorrow. Watch him to the moon. Absolutely. Gibbs is closer to Bijan Robinson post-draft than he was pre-draft for me.
Mike, you convinced me. I'm going great.
And you knocked me up a tier as well to good. The pass catching argument there, the names after the receivers at the top are pretty sad on that Lions team. And you're right. That's where he's going to make his money. We've got one good, one great, and one ideal, which is going to land him in great with those 2 quarterbacks. And Jay in the chat is in love with what you said there, Mike. He said, Mike, just when I think I couldn't love you even more, you go and do something like this. And One Nation Underground saying, imagine Gibbs getting the ball alone in the flats, home run, waiting to happen.
Love it.
Jay saying Gibbs to the moon for fantasy purposes, and Cal saying Swift to the Chiefs.
Just not the Dolphins. Just not the Dolphins. I don't want.
Why not?
Because, I mean, I recognize that he is a very talented back, but the past 3 years has just been banged up in the doghouse, like you said. I don't know why that is the case. Maybe it's just the changing of the guard in the leadership in Detroit. They lasted the old regime of that draft class, but I would rather stay hands off of that. I'd take Cook over Swift if we get the option.
I also would take Dalvin Cook over DeAndre Swift as a running back for my team. I agree with you there. Also, Cal in here saying, anyone else see on Twitter Antonio Brown? Is that real? Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Tweeted out coming back to the NFL, Ravens flock, let's go, or something like that.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not real. It can't be.
I saw it. Like, my buddy texted me. I was like, what is it? This is insane.
I just picture like Rashad Bateman and DeAndre Swift having beers right now and just crying and hugging each other. That's where my brain goes instantly.
Yep.
Suddenly they go into the Google Meet and change their attendance to the weekly position meetings to maybe. You just you see the attendance all switch to question marks. All right, well, guys, that is it for the running backs from this first round. But we got our first wide receiver who came off the board. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver from Ohio State, ending up with the Seattle Seahawks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is me talking about JSN first. And I don't mind this landing spot. It's I think they are set up very well for a player like JSN. At the beginning of the year, I imagine Tyler Lockett is probably still target number 2, but JSN can work into a slot type role on this team pretty early on, even with Tyler Lockett. And I'm not going to be shocked by the end of the year if he's taken over as the second target on this team. I don't think he's passing DK Metcalf in year 1, so it can't be ideal, but he's got Geno Smith throwing him the ball, not a great defense, potential to be the number 2 receiver by the end of the year, and a role seemingly already defined in a slot role for his rookie year. I'm tempted to go. I'm between good and great, and I think I'll sell great for JSN. I like the Seattle landing spot for him. There were a couple receivers right here. The first couple guys that went, I was like, man, just kind of makes sense, the moves that they're making for those teams. Mike, how do you feel about JSN? Are you as optimistic as me or maybe a little less?
I'm good. I just wanted to correct a mistake you made, that if he's the wide receiver 2, he would be taking over DK Metcalf, because Tyler Lockett's the wide receiver 1 in this offense, sir. Your disrespect will not stand. Tyler Lockett, the most disrespected man in the NFL. Once again, 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. The man is bankable. But no, I agree that what they do have is the slot roll open. This offense is good for it. There's targets to go around, and it's a high-powered offense, and we know that Geno has been nothing short of a spectacular reclamation project since he came back. Love to see it, love the story, love the guy. But what they haven't been doing a lot of is the crossing patterns. What they have been doing is a lot of the short stuff, and they were bringing Tyler Lockett into those intermediate routes to try to mask that. But I think now with a true receiver like this, I think in his first year you'll see him pure slot. I think as Lockett ages and decides to hand it over to JSN, I think then you'll see that he actually can win on the outside as well. So I think both I would say redraft is neutral to good. Dynasty is good to great. So that to me lands me in good overall. But I think if I get something passionate from Tim, I could be swayed to great. I'm on the edge there.
Okay, Tim. Mike's edging. What are you gonna do?
I was going to say great. Honestly, I mean, I think the way they've set this up, they got a receiver who another stud receiver said is a better receiver than that stud receiver. I think he's got an incredible amount of talent. I love Geno. The dude's the man. 3-year deal makes me think that they might be looking for their dynasty QB coming in the next couple of years. So he's going to be learning the NFL. Then he gets a nice little rookie quarterback who's going to be learning under Geno, who's then going to be throwing to him for another couple of years. So thinking from a dynasty perspective, I think it's an absolutely great landing spot. It's a really, really fun wide receiver room. I think this offense is going to tear through the Cardinals twice a year, and it's going to be so much fun to watch.
Well, that's going to land JSN in the great category down there. And One Nation Underground saying Geno's got to love this. So this wide receiver group now rivals Cincinnati's. They're building something cool out there. We'll see how JSN pans out, but it's looking like one of the top groups in the country. Chef in here. What's up, the Chef 93? Thank you so much for the super chat. They have a trade for us they wanted us to talk about. Superflex Dynasty, Russell Wilson, or the 106 and the 107. I'm guessing this is in your upcoming rookie draft. Mike, what would you be doing here? Do you want Russell Wilson or the 106 and the 107?
106 and 107. As tough as it is to pull the trigger on that one, there's been so much smoke about Sean Payton being anti Russell Wilson, and I think that is the man in charge. I think he is ultimately going to get what he wants, and I think Denver's going to have a rough year this year, and when they do, they're going to move on from Wilson. So if you look at 106, you're really hitting that bottom end of the elite grouping, and we haven't seen the day 2 running backs yet. And your league might go crazy for that, wherever Charles falls or Roshan Johnson. There's some guys that are going to come up and make that 107 have a little more value, that you might get one of these top guys to fall. But yeah, I mean, the 106 and 107, you could angle up even to get a higher quarterback if you wanted to get Anthony Richardson, for example, and I think that'd be a smash play for me. So I would take the flexibility of the picks and hope that 107 gets dragged up by today's draft, because Russell Wilson's an expiring asset and, one that's hated by his coach. So,
Tim, are you agreeing with Mike here?
Yeah. Give me the picks here. If Russell Wilson has had a fantastic, fun career, I like him as a solid win now option, but no, give me these picks. I mean, you saw 6 people on the board right here. I would love to have any of them. And if it's a not too smart dynasty league that they're in, they might pivot for some of these position players before some of these other quarterbacks. So I take it. I take the gamble on the 106 and 107, especially if I could get I mean, you have Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers down there still, and that's a good spot to be. I like it.
I'll take the picks as well. Mike, you hit on the point I wanted to hit on, the flexibility of it. You're as you go into the rookie draft, having that maneuverability is really awesome because people get antsy during the draft, man. And if you've got a couple picks down there, the magic you can pull over on a league mate, I don't know, like me on rookie draft day is pretty great because I get in it when the draft's going on and I start overthinking it. And I'm like, oh, I got to trade up to get this guy. Oh, I got to trade back. And you're going to win that trade 100% of the time because I'm thinking emotionally and I'm reacting to what's going on in the moment instead of following my plan. And there's 3 or 4 of me in every rookie draft.
Absolutely.
So make sure having that ammunition is beautiful going in there. Chill had a question for us. Wanted to know what's the trade value of a 103 to a 102 trade up? Is it worth it? So like Mike, if you were trying to trade up from the 103 to 102 in a super flex dynasty, what would you be willing to tack onto that?
Man, it was a lot tighter before this, but I'm still not giving up much of anything. It's really when you get to 104 that things drop off for me with CJ Stroud now in Houston, and you start debating if the position players are worth it. But you're still talking Young or Richardson. I'm not giving up much value, to be honest. Not super flex. Not super flex. It's worth almost nothing. For not super flex, the drop is absolutely 103. So you're talking Bijan Robinson, Jamyhr Gibbs, and JSN. Bijan's tier 1, Gibbs and JSN are tier 2, depending on how your league plays, what your scoring settings are. So I wouldn't be giving up anything. Honestly, those guys are literally going to be back to back in my overall rankings. So not worth it. If you can get it for a third, just because you're really vibing a guy, cool. But if it's something you actually have value attached, seconds this year are going to be some value. It's a deep draft. I wouldn't move it for anything more than a third round pick. It's just not a big value jump.
And if you want JSN, you might get JSN at 103.
Might get him just sitting there
because of the Jamyhr Gibbs hype. So I think knowing that you could get him anyways at 103 and having Jamyhr Gibbs as your backup plan is
your consolation.
You're solid.
Yeah, easy.
You got a pretty good setup there, Chill. Well, guys, we're moving on to our next player to talk about here. And this is another wide receiver going at pick number 21 in a little wide receiver run. This was like a freaking fantasy draft, man. The whole thing was like a fantasy draft.
Fun.
We had a wide receiver run. The second one in this run was Quentin Johnston going to the Los Angeles Chargers, wide receiver out of TCU. The big guy, the big wide receiver in this one. Mike, I believe you're up first on this one. What do you think of this landing spot for Quentin Johnston?
Neutral. The landing spot for the right player, I would have liked, obviously, the Chargers, high-powered offense, Justin Herbert. You love to see him attached to a solid quarterback. The attachment to Mike Williams is gross. It's two players I just don't love. I do think Eckler stays, so I still think you're fighting for targets with the running back position. You still have Keenan Allen, who is the alpha there. It's a weird match. And even when Keenan Allen moves on, which like we talked about as being such a benefit for JSN when Lockett moves on, it's still Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston. If nothing else, it makes me sad for Herbert and how inconsistent his wide receiver core is going to become for a quarterback that does have some accuracy struggles at times. So this to me, I think people wanted to hype it. I think they wanted to feel good about it. If you look at it objectively, it's neutral at best.
Neutral from Mike. Tim, what are you doing for Quentin Johnston?
I'll give it a good. Just because he got a good uniform, that maybe draws it up. But I mean, echo a lot of those points. It's going to be a little bit of a carousel coming up soon. But if he's got the opportunity to learn from somebody like Keenan Allen, again, I think that's a pretty good news for him. So I'll say good.
I understand that. And it was almost the inverse Jamyhr Gibbs reaction, where my initial reaction was like immediate excitement because something about this makes sense. And probably what makes sense about it is we've seen Mike Williams, a similar styled player, find success in this offense with Justin Herbert. But then that second thought immediately comes to, well, don't they still have him? I know they've got outs for Mike Williams, I believe, after this season. It's not guaranteed, but they can move on. So maybe this is a future move for them. Let's bring him in, have him learn. He was considered like one of the more non-pro ready prospects. If I remember correctly, he had some things he needed to work on. But for the time being, he's a worse Mike Williams in an offense that isn't needing that. So, Mike, I'm agreeing with you. I'm going to put him in neutral as well. And that's 2 neutrals and a good. I still love the player. And if he can develop behind that, in Dynasty, this is probably more of a good with potential for great with Herbert throwing him the ball. But it's got to just end up in that category now. Quentin Johnston ended up in neutral with 2 neutrals and 1 good. Scamper said, I hated this pick by the Chargers.
That's fair.
It's an angry cat.
Well, they probably panicked once JSN left. They're like, oh, crap, we got to grab somebody, don't we?
Yep.
I think they all panicked because very next, we saw the Baltimore Ravens take wide receiver Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Tim, what did you think about this pick by the Ravens?
I mean, I don't know if this is the right answer.
Or I guess, what do you think about the landing spot for Zay Flowers, which is different than what do you think about this pick for the Ravens?
I think this is a pretty ideal spot for it. Let's go, baby. I want the Ravens to absolutely toss the ball down the field all the time this season. They're going to have a really interesting core of receivers, and Lamar's back, baby. I think there's going to be the most clarity that they've had in a while. So I'm calling this one ideal. I don't think it's the right answer, but I love Zay Flowers. I think Twitter loves Zay Flowers. Give me ideal for this one.
Tim,
I was happy to see this.
With the hype tier.
Yeah.
I'm a lot less optimistic for Zay Flowers in this landing spot because I look at this team, and to start the year, he's at best 3rd, and that's if he beats out Odell Beckham behind Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. Like I believe he's going to start behind them. I think he probably starts behind Odell Beckham Jr. in targets as well, and I think he may start behind Devin Duvernay as well on that depth chart whenever it comes to targets. Like Duvernay wasn't a nothing factor for this team. He's got some work to do to even earn targets. And I know Todd Monken's coming in and is going to make this more of a pass offense, but they still, I don't believe they're going to completely abandon or shift that identity so fully in 1 year. They'll probably still be a run first team. I
think they are. Flip the switch, baby.
I'll go neutral because I like the player and I like the offense. But I think he's buried to start the year, and it's going to be tough for fantasy, especially in redraft. I'll go neutral, though, right in that middle. Tim's got ideal. I've got neutral. Mike, where are you putting Zay Flowers on the Ravens?
I love this because I'm going into the world. This is horrific. This is so gross. It's legitimately like if I could find a spot to put Zay Flowers to make him successful, and I ranked like all 32 teams, Baltimore may have come in last. You're talking about an undersized receiver, an inaccurate quarterback, an overcrowded receiver room, a stud tight end, and a high-powered rushing offense. What the heck could you like about that for a wide receiver? I mean, it's legitimately like if you like Rashad Bateman, we get to do it again. Only name him Zay Flowers. Are you enjoying that? Because I am not. I went all in on Bateman. So maybe I have scars here. Maybe I'm bringing my own personal things into it, but I'm still hurt. And I'm not letting them hurt me again. So I am out on Zay Flowers. Get them the hell away from my team. End of the world, just terrible wins.
You have a Greg Roman shaped hole in your heart where Rashad Bateman's fantasy success was supposed to live. Well, that's going to put him in neutral because our votes were a little all over the board. We had 1 neutral, 1 end of the world, and 1 ideal. So that's going to land him in neutral. We got Bayou Bengal Football Network in the chat. Fantasy Network, what's up? Welcome in, my friend. Glad to have you here. And they're saying hit that like button, y'all. I appreciate that. Bayou Bengal. And One Nation saying Bengals still aren't scared of the Ratbirds. It's a weird division. That division is odd. I'm excited for the NFL season this next year. I think we got time to talk about one more player real quick in here. The last wide receiver of this run, Jordan Addison out of USC, landing with the Vikings. Mike, we'll start with you. What do you think about this landing spot for Jordan Addison?
Is there a tier ahead of ideal? Because I would put him in that. Man, this is perfect. This is perfect. Jordan Addison is not the star. He's the Robin to Jefferson's Batman. That was where he was going to thrive. This feels so akin to the Devonta Smith, AJ Brown setup, only realistically with the, more targets to go around. So this is someone I want to elevate all the way through the roof. When you take out Superflex, this is now your number 4. The 104 and 1 quarterback leagues with a bullet. There's nobody close to this man anymore. So yeah, God tier, elevate that man, put some wings and a halo on him. I love this landing spot. This is absolutely perfect for Jordan Addison as second fiddle to the greatest receiver in the NFL. He's going to go off in that role, and I literally squealed when this pick came. Someone who was 104, like I was giddy in my 1 quarterback league. I have 2, 3, and 4, not to brag, but whatever. And didn't earn any of them.
The Texans strategy.
Yeah, so I went all Texans, but this is to me it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Jordan Addison is a match made in heaven with the Vikings.
Mike putting it above ideal in God tier. Tim, where are you putting this for Jordan Addison?
I mean, I love all the arguments it laid out. How long is Kirk supposed to stay with the Vikings? Do we know?
They're trading him like tomorrow or next week or in 5 years, one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he has 1 more year locked in on the contract at this point.
So just for that reason, where I think redraft is going to be a lot of fun with this guy, but I can't put him in God tier. Ideal does sound good.
Ideal.
Let's go Ideal.
And I'm riding the hype. I'm with you, Twitter. I'm with the crazy hype trains. Jordan Addison, God tier. Across from Justin Jefferson, he is going like Adam Thielen was fantasy relevant there. And Adam Thielen, had like less than 7 yards per catch last season? There's no way Jordan Addison is having less than 7 yards per catch. I like Adam Thielen. This is not an anti-Adam Thielen take.
Adam Thielen is also great for a long time.
And Adam Thielen now can't run very fast or go very far very quickly or make.
But that's okay.
And that's okay. But you know what Jordan Addison can do? That quicker, faster. This is an unbelievable pick. I'm excited. Jordan Addison going up there in the God tier landing spot. And I hope Coop's still watching, because we are ending with just enough time for the only first round player that we don't talk about to be the one and only tight end drafted in the first round, Dalton Kincaid. It's perfect. I think we end on that note.
Suck it, tight ends.
Yeah, your position don't matter. No one cares. You know where we have Kincaid somewhere between tight end 3 and 20 with all the rest of them. Alphabetical order. I stopped caring a while ago.
I think Coop's on later, and he's got Kincaid covered. He's got enough words for all 3 of us combined about Dalton Kincaid, so we're good.
Get rid of tight end slots.
Just make them big wide receivers.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today. I want to thank Mike for coming on and hanging out with us. If you guys are not already following him on Twitter, go and check him out at DaddysHomeFF. You will not regret it. Daddy's home, baby. You got to be following him. Mike, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Oh, it's always a blast, guys. Always available to come on. Love this show. Love you guys. And so happy JL couldn't make it. This made it so much more fun.
Just what a Friday.
Reiterate.
Yeah, throw that in there at the end.
JL, we didn't even miss you. But that's going to be it for us today, everybody. But good news, if you guys are watching the draft tonight, you can watch it here on Better Sports Network and play along with some live trivia as well. You're going to answer predictive questions and compete for your chance to win a 1-of-1 Brock Purdy augmented reality trading card that they're going to be giving away. Starts tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time for the NFL Draft Bettercast. You can do it on the Better Sports Network app or at bettersports.com to hang out with us. So check out the Bettercast. Watch it on the app, hang out a little bit later, and win that Brock Purdy card. That's going to be it for us today. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We'll see you guys bright and early Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, though, that's going to be it. Enjoy the rest of the draft. And when the Colts take Will Levis, we'll be laughing until the show on Monday.
What a weekend.
Adios, everyone.
Go Fins, baby. Don't mess it up.